Hey everyone, Mack Story here today to talk about Chapter 3 in Change Happens. And Chapter 3 actually contains the principle that I'm always most happy to talk about when I'm speaking on the stage or I'm doing on-site training and development. And what I'm talking about is Chapter 3 is titled 2 Ways to Deal with Change. And what we're talking about there, and I've kind of touched on it before without really defining it, but we're talking about, are you going to be proactively dealing with change or reactively dealing with change? And I learned this principle that I'm about to teach you from Dr. Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That book changed my life. I talk about it every day and I think about it every day. And it was my first exposure to leadership back in 2008. A friend of mine introduced me to an audio version, of a 1-hour audio version, and the rest is history. It was my first book. Now I've read hundreds of books and thousands of hours of audio and video to be able to, write the books that I write now and teach the other people to embrace what I've learned. So when we talk about being proactive versus reactive, 2 ways to deal with change, you're going to deal with it one way or the other way. And what Dr. Covey talked about and taught about relative to being proactive is between stimulus and response, human beings have the freedom to choose their response. Something happens and we respond. There's a space right here. We get to pause and choose our response. Most of us don't. We just automatically respond. But if we learn this principle, we pause and respond based on values if we're being proactive. Reactive people, they don't really pause at all. They just respond based on feelings. And that's why the impact of change in the last chapter was so important to understand, to read about that and dig down into that, because we're kind of leading you through the thought process and the mental process that happens during change. And you think about how do you deal with change? Are you proactive or reactive? Do you figure out what's the good in it? How can I help? How will things be better? Or do you instantly get defensive and just angry because something's changing? I always like the way it was. Why we have to change it? It's working fine. That sort of stuff. And remember the first chapter, nothing fails like success. You have to change it because what got you here is not going to keep you here. What got you here is not going to take you to the next level. So I hope you buy the book and dig down into this chapter specifically, because you need to be proactive. You need to respond to change positively, because it's going to shine the light on you. And what I say is, reactive people whine, proactive people shine. And that's a choice that only you can make.